Welcome to the Django project, djblogger. This tutorial is part of a YouTube Django project playlist, which you can access in the video description. You can watch the whole course from the very beginning. If you enjoyed this course and would like all the updated tutorials and associated code samples and more, you can check out this course and other courses this project features at Udemy. The link to the course is in the video description. So the last tutorial in this section of the course, let's install some linting tools. Now Microsoft Python extension that we installed already has linting tools. Essentially, a linting tool is basically a program that can analyze our source code and potentially flag any potential problems. There are some popular Python tools, linting tools, one of them being Flake8. So it's up to you what you want to install, maybe Flake8 or Pylint, for example. Those are the two popular tools for linting. So we're going to install Flake8 here and just configure that in our Visual Studio Code settings. So back in our code here, we configured our settings in this VS Code folder here, up top .vs Code. So go back to our settings here. Let's just add some more settings. So we want to tell VS Code that we want to enable linting, and we want to then specify the linting tool that we're going to use. Now, first of all, we need to actually install it. So let's go ahead, open up our command prompt here. Oh, no, I'm in Windows. I keep thinking I'm in Windows. Let's close this and let's go ahead and pip install, and we're going to install Flake8. Okay, so with that done, we now have Flake8 ready, so we can go ahead and activate it here. So just under here, I'm going to add some more code right here. So I've just copied and pasted that in, as you can see. But what's going on here, let's just zoom in a little bit. So you can see this. So you can see that I've turned on linting, Python linting, true. Lint on save, true. So we're going to run this on save. And you can see that I've enabled Flake8 and I've added some arguments here. So there are many different settings that you might want to add. So just to line up with black here to avoid any errors, I've set our line length to 88, and of course you can change that to whatever you prefer. So there are sometimes when you add different tools, there are some compatibility issues, because for example, if I were to set black to automatically format our code to 188 line length, then of course Flake8 is going to flag that's an error because it's expecting only 88 max line length. So things like that, there may be issues. Now, I mentioned before that Flake8 and Pylint were two popular linting tools. Now, you can have them running at the same time, and there may be some benefit of that because they do provide some slightly different features. But there could be some configuration there you might need to take in order to get them working together nicely. So you'll find that online if you're interested in adding more. But at this point, Flake8 seems to be good. We won't necessarily move too much into this. It will provide us some additional information as we work through, only generally if we make any errors. So with that now done, that should be pretty much it. So let's get back in to see if we can find an error or make an error. So for example, let's import a math. Okay, so straight away you can see that there's an error. And it's flagged as an error because we've imported this math tool from the Python standard library, but obviously we're not using it in our code. So if I hover over this red squirrely line here, you can see it says Flake8 F401. So Flake8 behind the scenes has found that there's a problem there. We aren't using this. So essentially this shouldn't be in our code. And we're given this error code F401. And that can be really useful because later on down the line, it might be there are some errors in our code which aren't errors, and we might want to avoid or ignore particular errors in our code. So we can do that with the numbers that are specified here. So that's just a basic implementation there and a showcase of what Flake8 is going to provide us. So now that we have our Visual Studio Code set up, what we might want to do is to make sure that it isn't included in our repository when we save and upload our repository. So let's go into our git ignore and let's just make sure that we add .vs code to this list. So when we go back now into GitHub, it shouldn't include that. So yours is going to look slightly different here because I forgot to do this and I did this at the end. But you can see here it isn't included in our list here. So we can go ahead now and make our commit. So nc new commit to main. So that's now committed to our running Git repository. And then once you're happy, of course, you can go ahead and push to the origin. Obviously that push means upload to, in this case, GitHub, and then we can go ahead and view it on GitHub and take a look, see if all the changes have been made. It looks like they have. You can see that we have a file. So this requirements file here won't be here. Like I said, I did this at the end. I forgot to add this step, but you can see that all the files here are now in place as expected. We don't see the .vs code folder.